All right, I'm Michael. This is Abdul. Here we are talking again about the SaaS business, not the crazy optimizer this time. Today is actually Sunday, April 29th, I believe.
March 29th.
Sorry, March 29th. March 29th of 2020. This episode is called Once Upon a Time. So once upon a time, what we're going to talk about is how Abdul and myself met, right? We're going to talk about how that happened and
the magical evening, right? The magical evening.
Yeah, the magical evening. I saw him. There was rays of sun. But to lay the foundation of kind of where we were, and so that we can then talk about how we're going forward and maybe why you guys should listen to us at all, right? So I'll just kind of start and say, originally I was looking for somebody that could do affiliate marketing to help find people that needed WordPress website support and to, try to grow that line of business for 51 Blocks, the digital marketing agency that I own. And I tried some guy out probably for 7 or 8 months, did not work, kind of said, hold off on that. And then one day I mentioned something, I believe in a group, I think a lot of people, know on Slack, is called Online Geniuses, right? There's lots of members there. And I posted something about looking for an affiliate marketer, and Abdul stepped in, and we talked after a little while, decided to take a chance on him again for affiliate marketing. And then I would say within a day or two, he talked about the idea of what we're building now, right?
Yeah.
And he told me that why don't you tell your side of the story and take us up to there so far?
No, I think just to recap what I've been doing. So I've been in digital marketing for 15 years now, and when me and Michael met that on Online Geniuses, I just had kind of stepped down from my position as the VP of growth from Cloudways, which is a quite big managed cloud hosting platform. So I was the VP of growth there. So I was just transitioning out from my role when I saw that message from Michael on Online Geniuses, and I think we started talking, and I think from in a few minutes we kind of hit off on the right foot. So we both had a similar kind of a concept of what WordPress is, how it should be going forward, and how support should be. So I think from there we just started, and I think Michael, I don't even think it was the second day. I think it was the first day when I just said that, what you're trying to do is better when you have a platform. But definitely because I think Michael, you've come from more of an agency kind of a background, so you were more of it's more of on a services side that it's services, right? But because I was coming from a SaaS background, I thought, okay, this is something that's better suited for a platform. But I think that was something that we just had in our mind. We just had it out there. We had a conversation, and we just kind of put it on the back of our mind. Let's think about it. And I think that was July of last year, if I'm not wrong, July of last year. So 8-9 months down the road, now we're there, and I think where this conversation started, I think that's we just did a lot of things in these last 7-8 months. We tested out the market, we got more confident in ourselves, we got more confident in our own skills as well, and had this inclination, okay, the market is there, because we could see people coming on board, we could see people having the problems in the community. So okay, we have a solution for all that, right? So there are a lot of good managed hosting companies out there for WordPress, but we thought, okay, doing something different to what they're doing, not trying to just copy them. So the idea was, okay, even though there are so many managed hosting companies out there, people have a very kind of a similar problem set. If you go to WordPress communities on Facebook or Slack or wherever, you see that people have, you can say there are 5-10 big issues that happen, right? Everyone is having those same problems. So if there are so many managed hosting companies, why do everyone have the same problem? So that's where we start getting more confidence on that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I will step back just a little bit and say, I think the reason I didn't move forward was because I had been burnt before, right? Trying to build a SaaS business. And I didn't necessarily know what I was doing, and didn't have somebody in the seat with me to know and how to drive that. So I think that's why I put it on a back burner. I think I needed some time to build the trust with whomever I was going to do that with. And as we built the solution that we built for these agency owners, and saw, one, that Abdul and I think of service the same way, right? We think of the customer needs to be serviced, whether that's 2 a.m. in the morning, and whatever issues we need to jump on, both of us jump on and try to deal with it as much as So that was important to me to have somebody, as we're going to build this together, understand that that's the point of view that we're coming from. So I think as an affiliate marketer, we didn't necessarily knock it out of the park, right?
Yes.
But I would say as finding a solution to then try to market, like we marketed this, our hyper optimized solution for WordPress to agency owners. And I would say we have a 90% close rate with it because the results are there, right? And people see it. And so once we had that product, now I became more confident of, hey, let's try to build this solution that you mentioned. And I think we have started, how long would you say we've been at this now? Like I think at the beginning of January is when we
Yep.
kind of laid it in, right?
I think it was January when we said, okay, let's start thinking about this. Let's start like doing something. Let's start planning it. Let's see where it's going. So I think that was January. And as like things progress, so like I think we started in January, then we got more confident. Okay, we're doing this in February, and then suddenly coronavirus happened. So we started having some other thoughts as well. But I think we were confident on our strategy as well. So we are going forward with this. So I think, like you mentioned, that building this solution, I think that was a process that had to be done as well. I think that gave like me as well a lot of like kind of, okay, understanding the market, understanding the target market that we are going after. Like I didn't expect ever to be called a sorcerer, but I have been, like from a client side, like, what do you guys do? Like, what kind of sorcery is this? Like, how are you getting these feeds? So I think that these are the good things that came on. And so we really started thinking, okay, we can do this, right? Like that gave us the confidence of like kind of jumping into this.
And I think to your point, considering what the market is like right now, people are still purchasing this, shows how strong a product this is, right? And I mean, I think, Abdul is mentioning, we had a little bit of anxiety or hesitation around moving forward with this during this environment, right? And I actually talked to and I'll probably mention him a number of times because this is business, and I respect my father-in-law, who's done a lot of great business. He's helped turn a company from 100 million in debt to 1.2 billion in profit. So I went to him and we talked about it, and he's like, well, is this business affected by coronavirus, or is this something that will continue to sustain? And it is a sustainable business during coronavirus. It's not an event-based business, right? Those event-based businesses are struggling right now, and those are real pains, right? This SaaS business is something that is for this pandemic proof. Now, will people pay the premiums that we may ask? No, they may not, right? But they need hosting for their websites. Abdul, why don't you kind of tell what you related to all the time for people?
I think for me, hosting is like, because I think even like, I'll talk on why I think that it'll grow even. But I think when I was thinking about, okay, should we go forward, I kind of made up this analogy in my mind that a website is like a store, right? If I'm a store owner and if I'm doing something, and if I want to like kind of, I have a cafe or whatever, and there are tough times, right? So what do? The first thing I cut off is maybe my marketing. Then maybe I cut off a little bit of my staff, try to cut out costs, things like that. The last thing I'll do is shut down my shop, because shutting down my shop means shutting down the business. So a website is like a shop, right? So the last thing that a person will do is shut off their business. So I thought, okay, this is at least, it's not saying that it's like everything proof, but I thought it's like kind of much better than any other kind of businesses we can go in. And I think even like now we are seeing like with all this happening, all like work from home companies stocks are going up. We are seeing, okay, many companies, definitely like people are noticing, okay, e-commerce especially is coming very fast into countries where like developing countries where e-commerce penetration was low. So people are now understanding, okay, we can order things online, we can do this online. So I even think that this would like grow even further going forward now, because especially with universities, everything is right now for the last couple of weeks, everywhere in the world, everything is happening on Zoom, on Slack, on digital stuff, on digital platforms. So I think the power is now in front of everyone, that this is where the world will go.
Yeah. And I think, as we talk about once upon a time, and as we, thought about how we're going to build this, I think one of the most important things we did was we laid out our planning in regards to financials of when we're going to hire people, when we're going to open an office, how we're going to do that. So, I know you spent a lot of time, proving the business model to me, and I challenged you a lot in what you put out there as the business model, and so did your father, which was good to hear. but I think that's part, like, to talk about once upon a time. Like, I'd say in January and February, we really spent time with the numbers. It's not like all of a sudden we said, hey, let's go build this, and didn't have an idea of where we're going or built a roadmap, right? We have built the financials out till 2025, 26, something like that,
26,
right?
26, end of 26.
Yeah. So we have the financial now. Will we hit those? No idea, but I'm a very big believer that you got to have goals. You got to know what you're trying to achieve. We set a date, a drop dead date. We have to hit certain revenue by. Otherwise, we don't move forward, right? Luckily, we've actually almost already hit that date with the revenue that we've had from the previous platform. So we're going to be okay there. So the show will go longer than 2 episodes or 3. But it's something, so I don't, like, what other planning have we, so let's just talk about the positions, right? We've done some positions, or, as we've gotten to this point in time, I don't know, like, if we want to talk about the business, like, you had to go and get, the business license in Pakistan. We had to overcome that. We had to overcome banking issues so far, right? Like, how we're going to pay for this, things like that. Do we want to talk about any of that now, or should we wait for the next one?
I think we will go into detail in another episode on that, but I think we can touch base on that. That definitely, yes, once I think we spent a lot of time and a lot of discussions and a lot of hours on going through the plan, right? Because I really love this quote, and I think it is by Winston Churchill. I think I might be wrong, that failing to plan is planning to fail, right? So I think that's what we have to have a plan. We have to know what we're doing, and like, kind of not just having a plan out there, like just discussing it and discussing every point of it and every line item. So we are very clear on, okay, this is an essential item, this is what we need, this is something we can come after. And also thinking out of the box in terms of positions as well. Like, initially, I think the way the team was laid out was very different than how it's laid out right now.
So talk about that a little bit. Talk about how you thought it was, and then even 3 weeks later, we have a different structure. So
yeah, I think initially, because I think, like we mentioned in an intro as well, like, if people have been looking at it, that we both are not full-on developers, right? Like, we are quite technical, but we won't be the ones developing the tool. So it was our ideas, right? That, okay, this is how the team should be. This is the senior developer. He should have this is how the platform is laid out. This is how our DevOps is laid out. This is how our support team would be laid out. But then, as I think a lot of things happened, Corona happened, so it forced us to think, okay, let's think, okay, how can we make sure that we are doing the right decisions? We're not overhiring, because sometimes I've seen some companies go down because of being understaffed, and some companies even go down because they're overstaffed. So, okay, what's the right balance, right? Where can we put in the right people, get the right kind of an attitude with people, get the right people with the right attitude, and make sure that we're making things much more. So I think the biggest thing that I did for myself was that, instead of thinking, that's what I'm talking to a team as well that we're bringing on board, that, and I think that's how I've discussed it with you as well. I'm not thinking of it as a big platform or something very huge. It's something which is small features. So that's how we're thinking, right? Okay, this is a big platform which will eventually we'll get there, right? But it's not day one. Day one is a small feature. Day two is a small feature. Week one, we focus on one feature. Week two, we focus on one feature. So I think that really helped me plan out the team. Okay, we don't need this many people or these many people here. This is how the platform will go. So we don't need these people now. We'll need them 6 months later. So that's okay. These are features. We have weekly sprints. This is how each feature would be. And we'll work on features. So we're not thinking of a big platform, because, like, with developers as well, when I show them this is the platform we want to build, they get, oh, this is a lot. So then don't think of this big platform. Think of this small feature. So think of it in microservices. Think of it as a module. So let's start building modules, and it will come together.
Yeah,
that really changed our viewpoint on the team as well.
Yeah, and I think what happened originally, we said, hey, we're going to launch it in August, or middle August, late August of 2020, and then me being who I am, I know as a business owner, I would not be able to allow that to go on without seeing some sort of progress or features or whatever, right? Or getting feedback from customers. So there's two ends of that, right? Customers are going to drive our product, so I need to get customers in there sooner than 6 months of investment. And then, I also think a funny thing that happened is Abdul was talking to his father, and his father was pretty much said, how is Michael letting you, run this until August? And I was like, yeah, how am I doing that, right? So I challenged back, and we got to the idea that the first release would be within 30 days. And then after that, we'd have weekly releases, right? At a maximum, at a minimum, every day, every other day, right? So,
Yeah, I think that's the main change, right? We stopped thinking of it as a big platform, and we started thinking of in modules. Okay, we don't need everything day one. We just need a platform that can do the core items. Then we keep adding those features. So that really changed how we structured the team, and how the team, even after the structure, we already know, okay, 6 months down the line, this is how the team will change. These are the people that will there'll be movements between the teams. So I think that really gave us an idea of a roadmap that, okay, let's start thinking on modules or features. Let's not think of the end goal right now. We know the end goal, but let's start thinking on the steps that we have to take to the end goal.
Yeah. And I think that could change as well. Some of those people may be the right people for this time, and a year from now might not be the right people, or maybe they are and we need more people. Whatever it is, we just know that it could be flexible and it may need to change or whatever.
And that's the thing, right? For us, I think we do have, like, I think, and with the team as well, that we're building, it's a very agile kind of a mindset, right? We're not stuck. We're not thinking. We're even with platforms, like, the developers get quite amazed when I say that we're platform agnostic. We are language agnostic, right? We don't care if you use whatever language you want to use. We just need solution, and the solution should be elegant, right? It should work, and it should be maintainable. So we don't care. We don't have, like, okay, we just want to develop in this one language, and even if it doesn't work for that particular use case. I think that agility in, like, a thought process is like that. That's why I think, say, that we will be changing quite a lot, and that's why I'm very excited about this, documenting this journey as well, because I think looking back at it, we'll be seeing how much, because even, like, if I talk about January and today, so many things have changed.
Mm-hmm.
So many plans, like, I think we are, like, maybe version 4 or 5 of our original thinking.
Yeah. And talk about a little bit of the work that you've done to lay we've done some of the feature sets, right? Or the layout of the features. And, I've given input of things I want to see immediately, or sooner in the process, and things like that. So I want to talk a little bit about, like, where we're at in regards to the strategy almost, and then how we've laid that strategy into actual, hey, these are the items we're going to execute.
Okay. So I think with us, like you as well and me as well, being in this WordPress or kind of an industry for so long, we know, okay, what type of features people want and what we want. So I think we even have, like, one guy in a company that I've named, I think that, I think Jason, that I want him to be able to, like, launch a website by, like, in the next 45 to 60 days. So, like, when because he's the one who does the QAs, but he's dependent on me or another member of our team to do the launch. So you're thinking, okay, when can he be able to launch his website himself, needing no help? So I think that sort of thinking made me, okay, let's work backwards, because I know what I need. When Jason gives me a website, I know what I need to do, steps that I need to take to launch a website. So I kept that as a use case, a persona, you can say, or a use case, and I've started working backwards from that. Like, if I want to remove myself from this equation and let's just have Jason doing it, so what are the features that would be needed to build that kind of a platform, right? So I think that really gave me clarity on, okay, we don't need all this stuff that we are thinking right now. We just need these 6 items or 10 items. So we had that. We started laying it out on a roadmap that, okay, this is when we'll start this item. This is when we'll start the authentication process. This is when we'll start working on the DevOps side. This is when we'll start working on the container side. So by this date, by I think it's mid of June or end of June, everything comes, like, no, that's like when everything can be launched, right? We have those features, because the thing is, for us, the idea is, okay, we have weekly sprints. We're not doing 10-day sprints, which is normal. We're doing weekly sprints. So product stuff is getting launched, stuff is getting out there for testing, but we're going, when does this product become, like, completely usable for someone with a very particular use set? And then we keep adding more features, and we keep adding the other features that we want. Or when can Jason kind of launch his website? Because maybe we until now we'll be starting development on like maybe end of April, first week of May. So the idea is, okay, when can Jason log in? When can he create his account? Maybe in the next 15 days. When can he log in? When can he add his billing information? When can he add a site? Things like that. So thinking on out of, I think if Jason will watch this video, he'll say, like, why are these guys talking about me without me knowing? But I think that's what we've kept. Like, when can he do what item?
And the reason you chose him is because he helps in our development process. Yeah. He's not super technical, right? Yes. He's not that. And that's more of what we see with agency owners, right? Yes. They're launching websites. They're doing things like that he is a good use case, and so am I, right? I'm a little more technical, but at some point, so here's Jason, here's me, here's you, right? And then here's all the developers and all of that stuff, right? So if it can work for Jason and me, that's a good gap for us to work in to start with our use cases, right? Because I'm not the most technical anymore. I used to do programming a long time ago, nowhere near understand how to write PHP or anything like that. And I think that's to your point of, once upon a time, you can start a SaaS business not writing your own code, right? You don't have to have a person that's writing it. You have to bring other valuable if you hire the developer, what are you going to be bringing the value as, right? Just like Abdul brings different value than I do, right? I challenge him differently. He challenges me, and we come to sometimes to an agreement in the middle. Like he even already said 60 to 45 days or 45 to 60.
I knew you'd say that. I knew you'd say that.
Because my thing is, for our platform and anybody that watches this, it's very big to hit deadlines. The reason it's hit deadlines is because those are expectations. And most of the time in any relationship, I've found if expectations are not lined up, that's where arguments happen or disappointment happens or some sort of feelings come up from that. So if we're able to have the same expectations, like Abdul and I, within 30 days, we have something, we can do something. That's all I'm asking, right?
Yes.
And then a week later, we change the color of a button. Cool. That counts as a feature set change, right? And that's all I'm asking for right now in the early stages. Obviously, as we move on, we have to see bigger features get rolled out and things like that. But right now, that's it's like we got to be constantly developing. We work with Monday.com, right? And we see how quickly they release features all the time and how excited we are every time they release features, right? So that's kind of what we want our user base to be. And to that point, if there's anybody out there that wants to be a alpha tester like Jason or something like that, we'd love to welcome you. Maybe we take 5 or 10 guys that would be part of it. We got to get that much viewership to get people in first. But as we get that, and you see this video and you're wondering if we're still taking alpha testers or beta testers, please write us. Please let us know. We'd love to have people on the platform. We have one.
I put in my email in the description, so you can just send us an email. And we'd like if you work with WordPress, you have WordPress sites. Even if you're a developer or an agency, wherever you are, we'd love to have you kind of come on.
Just send it into support at thewphelp.com right now, right? And that's kind of what that we'll tell you where we're at. We'll show you everything we're building. You'll have the inside set and use the product as an early tester, obviously, and tell us what you like. We want this to be very customer focused. So I think now we've gotten from once upon a time to where we are right now in this instance, where we're looking for beta testers. We have a team. They're going to start late April, early May. Hopefully our first set of features are going to be out in June. Our plan is to move forward through the pandemic because, we believe this product is something that people need. And we have dedicated resources, people and financial to this project. And that's kind of how we're looking at it. So is there anything else you want to mention since we're talking about once upon a time kind of stuff?
No, I think we've talked a lot. I think like more than what we were planning to talk about detail. And I think it's good for us to, I think I'm excited. I'm getting more excited now thinking, because now it's like we have been into so many things, so many activities in the last few weeks that I haven't thought about how we got here right now. So I think it's getting more excited for me, like getting all these thoughts back, like kind of nostalgia for me of having these, okay, this is what we have gone through and we are here. And I think that's how a lot of things have changed. And it's like, and I think we are set for a very, very, very a long road ahead, definitely, but definitely something where we have a lot of plans and we have a lot of, I would say, confidence in our solution and our capabilities to get through that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. It's cool to see sometimes you do need to look back to see the success that you've had to get where we are today. And I'll say the first couple months were much more difficult than the last couple months, right? We've had a lot of success in the last couple months, so that fuels it. I'm sure it's going to ebb and flow just like every business does. But we're going to continue to push forward, and please let us know. Like I said, if you have any comments, questions, let us know. I'm Michael. That's Abdul. We'll come up with a better show name than Once Upon a Time, but that's what this episode is called. All right. Thanks.
We will be adding some more stuff to it. Right now, it's just two of us. So we will add stuff to it next time.
Exactly. Well, thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.
Talk to
Thank
you later.
you. Bye.
Bye.